Welcome, Farley Force. Today's video is about public events in Destiny 2. More specifically, how to make them heroic public events. Now, heroic public events are some of the best encounters you can do to level up in the game, and this is pretty much targeted at you PC players since you're fresh off the start of the game, playing through those solo missions, getting into your leveling up. This is especially important when you get past level 20 and you start working on your power. So I'll be talking about each event, where you can find them, and what you need to make it heroic. I'll also include clickable time codes for each event down in the description below, so you can go right to the one you need to figure out before you get rolling. First off, we have the Fallen Walkers, aka Weapon Exchange, which is actually pretty simple to activate as a heroic event. When the Walker first spawns in, go ahead and focus on a single leg for damage, probably one of the front two, either right or left side. Then when it's fully destroyed, it takes a good amount of shots. Once it's fully destroyed, it'll pop off and he'll go down into a stunned state. He'll also drop off 3 arc charges. Now these arc charges you're going to need to pick up and take to one of the 3 dome shields surrounding the walker outside the event area. You'll need to deposit it. I recommend going from the furthest ones out, working your way in to the closer ones. After 2 cycles of this, you'll have all the arc charges you need to unlock all of the Scorch Cannon spawners. Once you do that, just pick up those Scorch Cannons and start firing away. Just fire as fast as you can at these guys. While the Scorch Cannons do charge up, and it's a bigger blast when you do charge it, at the same time, an unlimited number of these things spawn in as you're doing the remainder of the public event, so just go ahead and keep grabbing them and firing away. Once you get them down into the stun state, you'll just go ahead and shoot at the back of their neck that's exposed and glowing, and public event over. You've destroyed the second one, you got it heroic, nice job. Next up is the Glimmer Extraction. Now this event makes you actually hunt for the extraction crews when they actually spawn in, so eyes up Guardians, look for those drop ships. Each time you clear the first wave of Extractor Fallen, there'll be a tiny little engine that spawns randomly between any 2 of the pylons around each extraction site. Simply what you're going to do is just start shooting at that thing and destroy it, and once you destroy it at all 3 extraction sites, you'll activate the heroic, which you'll have to kill the Wretch Captain that spawns in. And once he's dead, you'll have a limited time to finish that Glimmer Transmat, essentially charge the plate, and then you'll finish the heroic event. One thing to note about this event as well, if you miss the engine on the first of the Glimmer Extraction crews, you can actually destroy 2 on the second wave, the second extraction crew, and it'll catch you up. I haven't tested it completely, but I assume all 3 will appear on the third wave if you haven't destroyed any, and as long as you destroy those before eliminating that wave of extraction crew, you get that heroic activated. Alright, next up is the Ether Supply Servitor. Now this one can be a little difficult if you're not that coordinated with your team. So the main prime servitor will actually spawn in 4 transport servitors across 2 separate waves. In the first one, he's going to spawn on a random side of the encounter space and start shielding the prime servitor. Once you destroy the transport servitor, he'll be unshielded again, and you can keep doing damage. Later on in the encounter, the servitor is going to spawn in 3 right in the center of the encounter area, and you'll want to destroy all 3 very quickly to get them unshielded again, because they will also despawn, and once they despawn, you can't complete the heroic event. But be wary as well, as soon as you destroy all 3 of those servitors, for the 4 total destroyed, he'll become super strong, and you have to finish him off to complete the event in the remaining time. Next we have the Vex Conflux, or more specifically the Spire integration event. Now this one can be more difficult to complete, especially if you have not that many players with you. It's especially difficult because before 1 minute remaining on the event clock, you have to complete all 3 of the Vex plates, and they spawn at the end of each of the data streams emanating from that center conflux. So you'll see these little lines of Vex code going off into the distance, and at the end of that, there should be a plate on the ground that spawns in when you stand near it. Once you charge all 3 of those up, it's going to spawn a whole lot of enemies for you to fight. A whole lot of tough enemies to fight. And don't worry too much about the center conflux while you're doing those rings, because you need to focus on staying alive there, getting it done in time. But also, don't completely ignore the conflux either. You don't want to get through all 10 of your sacrifices and the event ends. So these tougher enemies are going to spawn in, and you're just going to simply defend the conflux. And when I say simply, it can be kind of tough. Just make sure you focus on staying alive. Make sure you focus on all the guys that are actually sacrificing at the time if you get to that point. And just use your heavies, use your supers, coordinate. You guys got it.
Your logs describe many similar victories, so I am not surprised. Instead, I am delighted.
Next up is the Cabal Excavation, one of the easiest ones to complete in my opinion.
As good as always.
So essentially you're just going to charge the plate around the excavation drill, and once you get to 35% charge, there's going to be a threshold dropship. It's a little dropship that comes in and starts shooting at you with its little turret. It's a red ship, pretty easy to spot. Just go ahead and start doing damage to it and hopefully destroy it if you can and get the team shot in there. If you can't destroy it, it'll come back on its second appearance at about 75% charge on that drill. And then once it's destroyed, you just got to kill the excavator Valis that spawns in, the big Cabal enemy, and once you do, the event is complete. Heroic. Nice job.
Of intelligence-related objectives.
So now we're moving on from one of the easiest ones to one of the hardest, the injection rig. This one's also a Cabal one, and to activate the heroic, you and your fire team have to destroy all 3 tiers of exhaust vents on the rig when they open up. So the key to this one, I feel like, is getting a head start on that top tier of vents right as that rig is landing. You'll see here, you can shoot at it right as it lands and get a little bit of damage in, and that'll help you catch up in the later rounds in case one of you dies or it's just too overwhelming to stay inside the dome shield. After killing each of the infiltrator scions in each of the waves, the rig is going to create a dome shield over you, and it's going to start venting out of those vents, and it's going to start burning you when you're in that dome shield. Stay inside of it, don't freak out, just focus fire on that vent tier that you're currently on. So you'll start with those top large ones, move to the smaller medium tier, and they open on all 3 sides. The top and middle tiers open all 3 sides. But then when you move down to the very bottom tier, it's going to be a very, very small vent. You got to be ready for it. It's going to spawn on only one of the 3 sides of the drill. So you got to be focused, find it, start destroying it. Once you get all 3 across all 3 waves, you just simply have to kill the infiltrator Valis and your event is complete. A note on this one is once you get that head start on that top tier, like I was saying, you can also possibly destroy it in that very first wave and start moving on to your second tier right away. You don't have to run out of the dome shield as soon as you're done destroying one of them. You can move on to the next tier. Once all 3 are destroyed, you have to do it in those 3 cycles that you have in the dome shield, as well as that head start at the beginning. If you don't do it in those 3 cycles, then you can no longer activate the heroic and you just have to complete the event as normal. Now we have the Taken Blight event. This is probably the most mysterious in its completion because it doesn't give you really any indication of how far along you are or if you're ever going to actually activate it. So it's similar kind of to the injection rig we were just talking about, where you'll need to step into the outer Blight spawners that spawn around the large Blight in the center. And once you step in that and come out of it, you'll get a Blight receding buff. It'll last about 5 seconds, and you put as much damage as you possibly can into that center Blight just hanging there in the middle while that Blight receding buff is active, and then dip back in and dip back out, start doing damage again. Once enough damage has been done, it's possibly across multiple locations that the Blight spawns. You might have a blueberry that destroys all the outer Blights, and that will move the center Blight to a different location, just like the Glimmer Extraction. Once that center Blight takes enough damage across all of your location hops, a Blight Maker will spawn. It's a giant Taken Cabal enemy, and you'll go ahead and defeat him to complete the heroic event. And finally, we're on to the Witch's Ritual. This is on Titan, and it's in the area called the Rig. And it's probably the quickest public event in the game if you really know what you're doing. To start it off, you're going to stand on either plate on either side of the room, and once it's activated, you'll now be able to kill one of the 2 wizards that's in the center that's unshielded because you just activated your plate. Once both of those wizards are dead, then you're going to have to go back and activate each plate again to then unshield the 2 void crystals that are there above the portal on that side of the room. The crystal's destruction will now spawn an abyssal champion, whether it's a knight or a wizard, is random, but just go ahead and destroy them, and you've completed your heroic event.
Another day, another night.
Thank you guys so much for watching this Destiny 2 guide. I hope this helps you PC players out there. Most of this footage was actually recorded on Xbox One. I was playing through on my main characters there, but I'm definitely playing a lot of Destiny 2 PC. If you need any help, any tips, tricks, give that subscribe button a hit, give that like button a hit, comment it down below. I'll make sure to answer any questions, hit me up on Twitter, anything like that. I will see you guys next time.